Folks, you need to develop good habits, but it's also about how you think. Now, one of the challenges of our game, you know, is that our game attracts positive thinkers, okay? I don't want you to be a positive thinker. Where I need you to be is what I call purposefully optimistic. I don't want you to be down the red end, but I don't want you to be up the green end. Because one of the things that we know about your world, folks, is you don't have too much control over your end results, okay? You don't really have too much control over your end results. The only control you have is on what you do. And I call that the process of farming, right? People come into my offices and they go, oh, Dennis, I'm worried about my objectives. I say, what are you doing about your objectives? And they go, I'm worrying about them. No good. You've got to sit back and say, okay, what are the things we need to do today to achieve an outcome? And you've got to also start controlling your own mind, right, and your own voice. All of us, there's so much negativity in the world. If you're not careful, that negativity will get in here. It's a thing that I call the inner voice. And I want to make an absolute guarantee, if I can get that inner voice clear, what will happen as you're going through the fogs of life, and the fog is caused through health, retirement, finances, relationships, all those type of things, you'll be able to find your way out. But this has got to be clear. You've got to listen to your inner voice. Not the inner voice that says, kill them all, but the inner voice about how you see the world, okay? And it's really important you have a very clear voice. Now, most of our voices are shaped by other people's voices. I tell the story when I was learning to fly a plane. I said to my dad said, what are you going to do, Dennis? I said, I'm going to learn to fly a plane, Dad. He said, fantastic. He said, just remember you have to be really smart to fly a plane. And he walked out the door, right? Now that's what he said, that was his truth. Guess what I heard him say? That I'm not smart enough, right? Who's had this effect to you? And then when I'm getting a few more hours up there, he said, how are you getting on flying your plane, Dennis? I said, really good, Dad. I said, I'll be able to take you up someday. He said, remember, it costs a lot of money to fly a plane. And I'm thinking, gee, not only does he think I'm dumb, he thinks I'm poor, you know? Now, this is the effect of other people's inner voice. I want to ask you a question. If you're game enough, put up your hand. Who has had the succession planning conversation in your family so far? Okay. That is a critical conversation to have. And do you know succession planning is all about relationships? You know that, don't you? In any succession planning conversation I've had around the world that I've facilitated, it's all about relationships. If you've got good relationships, everything's okay. If you've got a bad relationship, don't even go there. Right? Fix the relationship. But that's also fixing how you think. Sometimes I sit around these tables and I hear Dad and Mum tell the next generation, this is really what you should do. You know that, don't you? This is what you should do. You should do this. And I'm looking at these people who are coming up who soon will be running the business. They're saying, yes, Dad, yes, Mum. And their head's all mucked up, you know. It's about making sure your head's clear. It's about a thing I call the tyranny of the shoulds. I think you call these tyranny of the shoulds over here the tyranny of the shouldas, wouldas, couldas. Right? And it's a really important thing to have. You've got to be in control of your own voice, folks, and you've got to be in control of your own head. When you hear someone say to you, this is the way you should do, or this is what you should do, I want you to answer this question. And the question is this: says friggin' who? Right? Because a lot of the shoulds we have are not our shoulds. Now, when you're living your life to another person's shoulds, what emotions do you reckon are going through your soul? What emotions are going through your soul when you're living in another person's shoulds? Because I reckon what goes to the person's soul is guilt, you know, and then it's maybe a bit of anguish, and maybe it might be a bit of anger. You've got to be in control of your own voice. And remember, when we're going through change, folks, this is politically, I believe this, well, it's not politically inappropriate, but I think people perceive it to be politically inappropriate. We know men and women are very, very different when we're going through change. Okay, when women are going through change, what women will do will tend and befriend. They'll reach out and they'll talk. But they'll ask fear-based questions. They'll say, how's this going to work, Dennis? How is this going to affect my family? How is this going to affect my relationship? They're based on fear. But one of the good things women will do when they go through change is you'll talk, won't you? It's tending and befriending, right? You'll reach out and you'll talk. Women will talk through the issues. And they'll talk through the issues, and they'll friggin' keep talking about the issues, and and eventually they win. I've just realised why another bloke... Anyway, so... but what drives men when we're going through shame is not fear, ladies and gentlemen. What drives men is shame. Right? Men don't like to be shamed. You don't like... Men never want to be in a position where you can't say to a bloke, we're going to talk about this now. Because what happens is a bloke goes into what we call flight and fight. Okay? We go into the flight and fight. So, folks, understand your own voice and understand. Make sure you've got your own voice and your own shoulds. If you answer the question, says friggin' who, and you say, well, I do, then it's a good should. Okay?